Welcome to the first video in our cryptography series. In this video, we'll be starting our cryptography topic. So firstly, we'll understand the fundamental concepts, including encryption and decryption. We'll also look into the classic symmetric cipher model, and we'll understand the different components here. Now let's understand the definition of cryptography and network security. So cryptography and network security. First definition of cryptography. So it is a practice of developing and using coded algorithm to protect and safeguard transmitted info that may be read only by those who has permission or ability to decrypt it. I know this is a very generalized statement of understanding cryptography, but as we move further, we'll actually know what is the definition with all key points. Okay. Then we have one more definition, that is cryptography is an art of secure communication in presence of attackers. Coming to network security is the uh, process of protecting the data, devices, and networks from unauthorized access or attackers. So this was the basic definition of cryptography and network security. Now let's see why cryptography is necessary. Why do we need cryptography? So the first point is confidentiality, that is to make sure that the data is accessible only to those who have permission. Next we have integrity. Integrity means it prevents unauthorized modification of data, and only those who have permission can modify it. Then we have authentication, that is to verify the identity of the user or the system which is trying to access the data. Then we have data protection being one of the very important key concepts. So this was about why do we need cryptography. Now we'll see where and all cryptography is used. So these days cryptography is used everywhere, right from the online transactions, that could be through the banking websites, or any payment if you are doing, anything for that matter. Then we have emails and document sharing, where the data is encrypted before sharing it. Then we have WhatsApp and other chatting or messaging apps, where communication is kept secured. Then we have digital signatures, which ensures the data integrity. And there are many other examples. I've just written down only the ones which came to my mind now. So this was about the uses of cryptography. Now we'll see a basic scenario or a basic example of what cryptography is and how it actually works. So let's assume that there are two users here. One is Alice and the other one is Bob. Alice and Bob are chatting through WhatsApp. So Alice has got an OTP. She's sending the OTP, or she's sending a message. Let's take it as a message here. So Alice is sending a message, hello. So on the other side, Bob has to receive hello here. So from sender to receiver, the data has to transfer over internet. But there may be cases where the data could be attacked or used by unauthorized third person or third party. So when you send hello, let's assume a third person called David. David has got the message hello here. Because it is a general message, it's fine now. But then what if it was a OTP or any secure document? Then he would have made wrong use of that documents, right? Wrong use of that OTP and all. So in order to avoid this situation, we'll be making use of cryptography. So let's see what happens in that. So first we have the plain text. Plain text is any readable text which we have. Then this plain text will undergo encryption. Encryption is the process of converting plain text into ciphertext by making use of a key. Why do we do this? We do this in order to make sure that the ciphertext is unreadable to unauthorized users. Encryption, there will be an algorithm and a key which will convert the plain text into ciphertext. Ciphertext means it is unreadable text. It will be only decoded by the end user, by the other user, by the authorized user. Okay. So here the conversion we get as encrypted text or it is also called as ciphertext. Ciphertext can be a combination of numbers or alphabets. So here it could be 3, 2, F, E. So this is not understandable by general users, right? General people who don't have the authority. So it will be transmitted over internet, and on this side we have decryption algorithm. Decryption algorithm is the process of converting ciphertext back to plain text using a key. Key is a secret value which is used in these algorithms for encryption and decryption process. So from ciphertext, we'll be converting it back to plain text. So from this, we'll get back the plain text, that is hello, and that will be read by the Bob. So this is how the one way or the proper cryptography happens in data transmission. Okay, so this was about a basic example. Now we'll see the types of cryptography. So depending on the key which is used here, we can classify. Depending on the key, we can classify the cryptography into two parts. The first one is symmetric, where at the sender side also you use same key, and at the receiver side also you use same key. Then it is called symmetric key cryptography. Then we have is asymmetric key cryptography, where at the sender side you use a key K1, and on the receiver side you use a key K2. It is generally it is public key and private key. We will understand this in upcoming videos. Then we have one more type of cryptography, that is called hash functions. So it converts the data into fixed length hash, so which is used for verifying the data integrity. So this is the basic types, okay, of cryptography. Now we'll understand the history of cryptography. So cryptography has been into existence from a very long time. It was used in the Julius Caesar time also. It's called as Caesar cipher, where substitution cipher happened. So we'll understand this in upcoming videos. Then even the monoalphabetic ciphers were being used in the 14th century. Then we have, speaking in the World War II, we made use of the Enigma machine. And further, AES algorithm was invented, which was used in the military purpose. DES algorithm was invented, used in the military purpose in late 90s. So this was all about the introduction of cryptography and network security. Let's move further. We'll now understand the classic encryption techniques. Further, we'll look into the classic encryption techniques. In that, firstly, we have the encryption techniques, the basic form, the basic definitions, let's say. So what is a plain text? Plain text comprises of the original text, okay, and ciphertext is the encoded text, okay, the coded text. So suppose I send hello, this is plain text, understandable, original text. If this is converted to 332, this is called cipher, which is this is being coded, right? And further, if I get hello back, this is again plain text. This is how the entire secure communication process happens, right? So firstly you send the plain text, you encode it or encrypt it, and further from the encrypted cipher we'll get back the plain text through the process of decryption. So this was about original message, coded message, called as plain text, cipher text. Now let's look at the encryption definition. Encryption is the process of conversion from plain text to ciphertext using different algorithms or different methods and different keys also. Yeah, then we have decryption. Decryption is just opposite of encryption, that is restoring the plain text from the ciphertext. So ciphertext is the term which we'll be using in the upcoming videos. It is not coded, encoded message. No, it's called cipher or ciphertext. So what is cryptanalysis? So the techniques used for deciphering a message without any knowledge of the enciphering details, falling in the area of cryptanalysis. That is, we are actually breaking the code. Suppose I have encoded a message, that is, I have a cipher, and it is being sent to the receiver here. But what happened before it reaches here? Some intruder is trying to access this data. So without having knowledge of what was the original message and what should be the final message, just with the cipher message and the key available, if someone is trying to break the code, then that process is called as cryptanalysis. So cryptography means the schemes used for encryption constitute of the area of the study cryptography. So combination of cryptography and cryptanalysis holds for cryptology. So this was about the basic definitions. So let's move further. We have symmetric cipher model here. So symmetric cipher model, if you see the diagram, first we have is the plain text. Plain text is depicted as X. Plain text is original intelligible message or data that is fed to algorithm as input. So here to this particular algorithm you are giving plain text as input, right? So this is what it speaks of. So firstly we have the plain text depicted as X, then we have encryption algorithm. Encryption algorithm is the algorithm that performs various substitutions and transformations on the plain text. After performing various substitutions and transmissions, what should I get? I should get the cipher here. So the input for this algorithm is plain text and the output is cipher. So here it is called as encryption algorithm. Along with that we see something here called as secret key. So secret key is also input to the encryption algorithm. So the key value is a value independent of the plain text and of the algorithm. So if I take this key, it won't have any relation with the plain text nor with the encryption algorithm. It is a very unique key which is shared by the sender and the receiver. So this key will be present on both the ends. That's why it's called as symmetric cipher model. Symmetric means on sender end and on the receiver end we have the same key. Okay, we'll understand this further in the upcoming topics. So yeah, secret key, yeah, this algorithm will produce a different output depending on specific key being used at that time. So if this key was k1, I will get some particular output e of k1 comma x. If this was key k2, then I'll get e of k2 comma x. Suppose this output could be 0 0 1 1 and here could be a b b b. So if you see, these two are different. And how did these two vary? These two varied only because of k1 and k2. So depending on what key you are selecting, the encryption algorithm will perform accordingly. So this was about the encryption secret key. So the exact substitution and transformation performed by algorithm depend on the key. Yeah, that's what we have discussed. So here if you see, X is the plain text, K is the key, you get you perform encryption algorithm E comprising of the key as well as the plain text. Once you do this, what do you get? You get the ciphertext, that is Y. So this was encryption process. Now that you have the ciphertext here, that is, let's see the definition of ciphertext, that is scrambled message produced as output. So it depends on plain text and the secret key. For a given message, two different keys will produce two different ciphertext. Ciphertext is a random stream of data and is unintelligible. That is what we have discussed. Plain text had A, B, then key was X, and encryption algorithm performed something, and I got 322 here. So this 322 and AB, is there any common or any similarity or common thing? No, there's nothing similar here, right? So it is called as ciphertext. It is random text which is generated as a result of the key as well as the plain text with a encryption function or encryption algorithm. Now I have ciphertext here which is encrypted. Now this ciphertext will be taken as the input for the decryption algorithm. Decryption algorithm is reverse of encryption algorithm. So this will take Y as input and it will take the same key. Whichever key is being used here, same key should be used here. That's when we can say that it is symmetric cipher model. So along with the ciphertext and the key, it will generate back the plain text. So that's what is called as, this entire thing is called as decryption process. So let's look at the terms here. So decryption algorithm, encryption algorithm in reverse. So it takes ciphertext and the secret key and produces the original plain text. So two important points to note here are, for secure use of conventional encryption, there are two requirements. Let's look at the requirements. First one is strong encryption algorithm. That is, opponent should be unable to decrypt the ciphertext or discover the key even if she has the count of number of ciphertext together with the plain text that are produced each by the each ciphertext. This means that especially the encryption algorithm should be very strong, such that even if the intruder or the hacker, even if the hacker has the cipher, he should not be able to understand what algorithm did I perform in order to get that. So that's what it means. strong encryption algorithm. Next, sender and receiver should have copies of secret keys. That is, if sender key is k is equal to 1 and receiver key is k is equal to 2, then it is asymmetric, it is not same. So here in order to have conventional encryption, this is very important. Sender and receiver should have same copies of secret keys. We need not keep the algorithm secret. So that is what it says. Keeping algorithm safe is not important, but then keeping the keys is very important. So this feature makes the symmetric encryption more feasible. So to store the key, we make use of low cost chips which are incorporated into number of products. So here we have the model of conventional crypto system. So that's what I explained. Message source with X as message, key source. Key source is the source or the station which is generating keys. So this is generating keys, and there could be times when I am sending key from the source to the decryption algorithm, and in middle, if the hacker is able to crack the code here, if he is able to get the key, then it will be a problem. No, once key is obtained, then it is he can be very confident that he'll also get back the message. So in that case, secure channel is required in order to transmit the key also. So if the secure channel is not there, either the cryptanalyst can get the key directly or he can get the plain text or message. So Y is the ciphertext, and with the decryption algorithm we can get the encrypted we can get the plain text back. So looking at the description here, for the from the above diagram we have source which produces a message in plain text. We know X comprises of plain text. X1, X2, X3 are M elements are there. Okay, so there are 26 elements and 0 to 1 binary can also be used here. So for encryption process, key is used, K1, K2, K3 till Kj. Yes, multiple keys can be used. If key generated at source, then it must be provided to destination by some mean of secure channel. That's what we spoke. Or a third party could generate the key and give it to both of them. Give it to the encryption and decryption both. As a third party is generating and giving the keys. Next, y is equal to e function encryption of k comma x. That is, we have understood, we have seen this in the previous explanation. Y is the ciphertext produced by using encryption algorithm E as a function of plain text x and secret key k. Next we have x is equal to d of k comma y. That is, it is opposite of encryption. That is decryption to obtain the plain text. I am obtaining the plain text. That was x. So if attacker wants to know the message, he should know all. He should know k, he should know x, and he should know y. If he wishes to know all future messages, then he will generate k by an estimate. So that's what it means. Here only if I have the value of y, it is not sufficient, because in order to get, see, x is equal to, sorry, y is equal to encryption of key and plain text, and here x is equal to y of k comma decryption of x is equal to d of k comma y. So in order to encrypt the encrypted messages which is sent, once the encrypted message is sent, in order to break the code, the cryptanalyst should have the value of k. Firstly, he should have the value of y, and along with both of them, he should also have the value of x. So x is important, y is important, and k is also important. So by making use of a secure channel, we can transfer the keys safely. So this is used for safe transmission. So this was about the model of conventional crypto system and the steps which need to be followed. Now let's see how cryptography is, or cryptographic systems are differentiated or classified. So in order to classify the cryptographic system, we make use of three independent dimensions. What are those three independent dimensions? First one is the type of operation which is used for transforming plain text to the ciphertext. Substitution. First one is substitution. Substitution means you are replacing A by some other text. Suppose I am replacing A by X. So this is, you are substituting a letter or a alphabet by some other letter or a digit or anything. Okay, so that is called substitution. Transposition is, if I am writing apple, then you are shifting the positions. So if you shift 3 positions, 1, 2, 3, A will come here, P will go 1, 2, 3, A, P, and here 0, 0, 0 will come because there's nothing here, or Z, Z, Z can come here. So you are just shifting the bits by number of positions. That is called as transposition. Next we have number of keys. So if sender and receiver has the same key, then it is called as symmetric, and if sender and receiver have different key, then it is called as asymmetric cryptography. Next we have the way in which plain text is processed. Plain text can be processed in two ways: block cipher or stream cipher. Block cipher, the entire code is divided into different blocks. These blocks could be of 32 bits, 48 bits, 64 bits, which are used to transfer the data. So each block is transferred at once, and similarly, once the data reaches to the receiver, once the block reaches to the receiver, he'll decrypt it and get the message. Further, next another block will be sent, and the same cycle repeats. Stream is like continuous flow of data, continuous flow that is your sending it bitwise, okay, discrete way, sorry, continuous way of processing the data is called is specified as stream cipher. So we have seen how the cryptographic systems can be broadly classified, and all these three are independent dimensions. So we can say that transformation of plain to text, plain to cipher by the operation may not depend on the keys, and it may not be depending on the way in which it is processed also. So these three factors or topics are independent dimensions which contribute to the cryptographic system. So let's discuss about cryptanalysis and brute force attack. So these two are the common methods which are used to break any encryption in any encrypted system. So I'm breaking the encrypted system in order to get what is the ciphertext or to achieve what is the key. So if I get to know the key, in further transactions, it will be very easy for me to get the ciphertext. So from future perspective, I should require the key. But for that particular transaction, if I want to know what is the communication happening or what is the message being sent, then ciphertext is accessed or acquired. So let's see what these two are one by one. So first we'll speak about cryptanalysis. Cryptanalysis is one of the common method used to break encryption system with idea of recovering the key that is being used than just decrypting one single ciphertext. So here, as I told, the highlight or the main attention is recovering the key that is being used rather than just decrypting one single ciphertext. The process involves using the structure of encryption algorithm along with any known info. Here the known info could be what is the plain text or what is the ciphertext, or the combination of plain text and ciphertext in order to deduce the key. So attacker will deduce the relationship between plain text and ciphertext to decode the vulnerabilities in algorithm and come up with the key or deduce the specific plain text. So all these points, they are revolving around whatever the basic introduction which I have told. So based on the info known to the attacker, various cryptanalytic attacks could be decided. So let's look into the various type of cryptanalytic attacks which can happen. Out of these, we'll also discuss which one is the most difficult one. So the first one which we have is ciphertext only. So if you see here, ciphertext only, here an encryption algorithm is known. Along with that, the ciphertext is also known. So attacker will have ciphertext encryption algorithm. This will be one of the hardest type of attack to carry out because attacker is knowing only minimal information here. He has no clue about what is the plain text or what is the key. So without any of these information, it will be very difficult for them to, or for the cryptanalyst to decode or attack. So that's why this is one of the most difficult types of ciphertext only attack. Yeah. Next we have is known plain text. In known plain text, encryption algorithm is known, ciphertext is known. Along with that, some part of plain text is known here. One or more plain text or ciphertext pairs formed with the secret key are known to the attacker. In this case, attacker has some pair of plain text and ciphertext. This will help the attacker to analyze how the plain text could be transformed into ciphertext. So compared to this is a bit easier for the cryptanalyst to break. Let's look into the next one. We have chosen plain text. In chosen plain text, attacker can choose what plain text he out of the plain text which is available, he can choose which plain text he wants and accordingly he can deduce he can form combinations. So upon forming the combinations, he can ultimately get what is the key. So compared to this, I would say this attack is slightly easier for the cryptanalyst. So the difficulty level is going down here. This was the most difficult, and this is bit lesser, and this is lesser than above. When we come to chosen ciphertext, in this attacker can choose the ciphertext, and along with that he can get what is the decrypted plain text. So having these two, it will give maximum information about how to deduce the key further. Next, this is one of the most easiest attacks which can be carried out, in which encryption algorithm is known, ciphertext is known, plain text, whichever plain text the attacker wants, he can choose that, and ciphertext also, whichever the attacker wants, he can choose that. After choosing all these, no, attacker can choose both plain text and ciphertext, gathering maximum info and breaking the encryption. So, out of all these, we can say that if an attacker knows the encryption algorithm, plus he knows the ciphertext, plus he knows some part of plain text and required part of ciphertext, then he can easily deduce the key. Once key is deduced, we can say that the entire encrypted system is decrypted, or is is made available for the attacker. So this was about cryptanalysis. Moving on further, we have brute force attack. So first type of attack we have discussed. Second type is brute force attack. Brute force means trying every possible way or key until correct one is found. So since each key will produce a different decryption result, the correct key is identified when decryption yields intelligible plain text. We know that, let me write down an example here. So the plain text was key. So the plain text was apple, and the key here was 5. On let's say the ciphertext could be 33A5, and here again the plain text obtained would be APPLE, provided that key value is 5. Suppose for the same text, if I take key value as 7, then ciphertext would be something else. It could be 6666, and plain text again would be 7. Plain text again would be apple, only if the key is 7. So I hope you are understanding this logic. What I meant to say is that with each and every time when we are making use of a different key, a different encryption result is generated. So it is very important to like identify when decryption yields the intelligible plain text. So total number of keys or key space must be small enough to make attack feasible. So even if it's large, on an average, correct key can be found after trying out half of the possible keys. Let's say k value ranges from 1 to 100, and when key is equal to 5, I got this answer. Now if I have to find what will I get, what would be the key value for 6666, it is very easy. 1 2 3 4 5, and after that 6. When I check for k is equal to 6 or k is equal to 7, I'll get this value, whatever was required, right? So even if the length of key value is more, even if the key space is more, on an average, correct key can be found on trying half of the possible keys. Here when we took the example from 1 to 100, it was like only after 5 places I was able to find the key value. So brute force attack is I am trying each and every possible key until I find the correct key. So process is a little difficult, or attacker should also recognize when plain text has been successfully decrypted, which may require automating the recognition of common language patterns, data formats, especially when plain text is compressed or it has numeric data. So speaking of numeric data or compressed data, it becomes difficult at that time for the attacker to understand, because when the data is compressed, when the data is you're not able to identify the data, it becomes very difficult, right? How will you get to know? Suppose here this was supposed to be the ciphertext which was required by the attacker. Once if I compress this, I get 3333 and 3333, something like this. So can I understand that this was the output? No, because this is compressed, right? So I'll not be able to deduce the answer. In that case, having the proper knowledge of what you are encrypting, what should be the output, and what is the possible key that we should obtain, having all these prerequisites in mind, the attacker will be only able to use brute force attack. So ultimately, to conclude, brute force will test all possible keys, but it requires the attacker to recognize it properly. So both these attacks can lead to catastrophic failure. So if the key is reduced, because all the messages encrypted with the key, it could be before the encryption or after the encryption or during the encryption also. So all these things would be compromised. So brute force attacks can be defended by using a larger by making use of larger key spaces, but then cryptanalysis requires strong encryption algorithms. So this was all about the two types of attacks. So let's speak about unconditionally secure encryption. So an encryption scheme is said to be unconditionally secure if ciphertext does not reveal enough info to deduce the plain text, irrespective of the time and resources. Irrespective of the time and resources is said because when you are practically speaking about encrypting an algorithm, let's say two main criteria are to be kept into consideration. One is the cost and the other one is time. Suppose if I have to encrypt the pin which you are entering in your ATM machine, if to encrypt it is taking 10 minutes, but then the validity of that pin is only 2 minutes. In such conditions, it is not feasible, right? Speaking of cost, again, if you are trying to encrypt, if you are investing 100 rupees to encrypt a particular algorithm and after encryption you get only 10 rupees there, then it is again of no use, right? So here that's what I've written the examples here. In such conditions, we have to make sure, we have to look into whether it is practical or not. So speaking of symmetric encryption attacks, they can exploit the patterns in ciphertext, whereas cryptanalysis of public key encryption depends on the mathematical relation between the private key public key pair. We'll be understanding this in the upcoming video, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and you don't miss out any of the notifications. So this was all about unconditionally secure encryption. One such method is one-time pad. Again, one-time pad we'll be discussing in upcoming videos. So this was all about the introduction, and we spoke about the symmetric cipher model, and then what are the types of attacks and what is unconditionally secure encryption. So I hope you have understood all the concepts properly. If you have any doubt, do let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.